We usually assume agricultural poisons are a threat only when they are ingested, residues on our food, or chemicals in our water. But there is a second, far more pervasive path for exposure that is often invisible: the very air we breathe. One chemical in particular, an herbicide called Paraquat, is so intensely toxic that over 70 countries, including China, Brazil, and the United Kingdom, have banned its use entirely. While much of the world has turned red to indicate a total ban, the United States remains a glaring exception. Here, Paraquat is perfectly legal, and the domestic usage rate is sharply increasing. American farmers rely on Paraquat as a burn-down agent, a cheap, highly effective way to clear fields of weeds and dry out crops quickly before a new planting season begins. This massive regulatory split means millions of Americans are living in agricultural regions saturated by a neurotoxin that is blacklisted across the rest of the globe. In Waynesboro, Mississippi, a rural town at the heart of the Paraquat supply chain, a local chemical plant handles the massive amounts of the herbicide needed to meet this rising demand. Most facilities that handle Paraquat report releasing between 1 and 5 pounds of the chemical into the air over a 5-year period. But according to federal data, this single facility in Waynesboro released 47,000 pounds in a single year. These massive releases are legal because the government does not classify Paraquat as an air pollutant. Instead, they are dismissed as fugitive emissions, leaks bypassing official smokestack regulations. This lack of oversight has a human cost. Wayne County, Mississippi, currently suffers from Parkinson's disease mortality rates that are in the top 7% of the entire country. This correlation leads to a terrifying biological mystery. How does a chemical drifting in the outside air bypass our defenses to systematically dismantle the human brain? The chemical industry claims we're safe because the blood-brain barrier deflects environmental toxins. But this sealed system has a critical flaw. High inside the nose, the olfactory bulb sits entirely exposed, leaving its nerve endings in direct contact with the outside air. When Paraquat is inhaled, it takes a deadly shortcut. It bypasses the bloodstream and the blood-brain barrier entirely, traveling straight up the nasal cavity and along the olfactory nerves into the midbrain. This direct pathway explains why a sudden loss of smell is one of the most reliable early warning signs that Parkinson's disease is taking hold. Through inhalation, Paraquat gains unhindered access to the brain's most vital control centers, turning a simple breath into a direct delivery system for the poison. Once Paraquat arrives in the midbrain, it targets the specific neurons responsible for producing dopamine, the neurotransmitter that controls human movement. It initiates a process called redox cycling, creating massive amounts of oxidative stress. Inside the brain's tissue, this reaction is effectively the same as metal rusting or fat turning rancid. The cellular structures simply begin to break down. Paraquat chokes off the cell's energy supply by attacking the mitochondria's respiratory chain. As Paraquat binds to it, the power source fails. This collapse causes alpha-synuclein proteins to form dense clusters called Lewy bodies, the microscopic hallmark of Parkinson's. In the brain, Paraquat acts as a targeted weapon, initiating a chain reaction that starves and dismantles the very infrastructure that prevents Parkinsonism. Scientists have observed these exact Parkinsonian symptoms in rodents exposed to Paraquat for over 25 years. Despite this long-standing biological evidence, U.S. regulatory policy remains frozen. The result is a lifelong toll of neurodegeneration, a condition that robs individuals of their autonomy and requires years of intense physical therapy. Some change is starting at the state level. Vermont recently introduced a bill that would make it the first state in the nation to ban Paraquat entirely. Until federal laws change, you can protect yourself by checking the EPA's Toxics Release Inventory. This database allows anyone to see exactly what chemicals are being legally emitted by industrial facilities in their own backyard. As long as environmental laws ignore these biological realities, our greatest vulnerability to neurodegenerative disease might be as simple as our next breath.